Welcome back to the final chapter of the GSA Building Maintenance and Operations IDIQ Delegation of Procurement Authority training series. This is the third and final video required to obtain a DPA letter of authority. Let's quickly step back to review the information that has been covered in videos 1 and 2. In video 1, we provided a high-level overview of the BMO program and also pointed out some key advantages of utilizing the BMO IDIQ. In video 2, we began taking a detailed look at the 6 broad phases of the ordering process. This included a deep dive into the first 2 phases, acquisition planning and defining the requirements and developing the solicitation. In this final video, we will wrap up the final 4 phases of the ordering process and leave you with a variety of resources that you can utilize moving forward. Additionally, if you are a contracting officer watching this video, we will provide you with instructions for receiving your DPA letter of authority. So with that, let's get back into the 6 broad phases of the ordering process. As we just stated in video 2, we took a detailed look at phase 1, acquisition planning, and phase 2, defining the requirements and developing the solicitation. Now it's time to discuss phases 3 through 6, issuing the solicitation, evaluating proposals, awarding task orders, and task order administration, execution, and closeout. So let's get started with phase 3, issuing the solicitation, and specifically how fair opportunity applies to BMO task order solicitations. Fair opportunity procedures are detailed in FAR 16505 and are applicable to orders issued by ordering contracting officers on BMO. At the task order level, an ordering contracting officer must provide each qualified vendor a fair opportunity to provide a proposal. The number of qualified vendors will vary based upon the zone in which the work will take place and the number of service categories that are applicable to the requirement. Socioeconomic set-asides are also allowable at the task order level on BMO, and this is something that we will cover in greater depth later in the training. This chart summarizes some of the main fair opportunity procedures that must be followed at the task order level. For orders exceeding the simplified acquisition threshold, they must be placed on a competitive basis. This may be waived if an exception to fair opportunity applies. Ordering contracting officers must provide a fair notice of intent to make a purchase to all vendors in the BMO or BMO small business groups, and ordering contracting officers must provide all vendors responding to the notice a fair opportunity to provide an offer and have that offer fairly considered. For orders exceeding $5.5 million, you must have a clear statement of your agency's requirements, a reasonable response period, disclosure of the significant factors and sub-factors, including cost or price, that the agency expects to consider in evaluating proposals, and their relative importance. If an award is made via trade-off, a written statement documenting the basis for award and the relative importance of quality and price or cost factors, and an opportunity for a post-award debriefing exists on orders exceeding $5.5 million. FAR 16505 B2I provides 6 exceptions to fair opportunity. A. The agency's need for supplies or services is so urgent that providing a fair opportunity would result in unacceptable delays. B. Only one awardee is capable of providing the supplies or services required at the level of quality required, because the supplies or services ordered are unique or highly specialized. C. The order must be issued on a sole source basis in the interest of economy and efficiency, because it is a logical follow-on to an order already issued under the contract, provided that all awardees were given a fair opportunity to be considered for the original award. D. It is necessary to place an order to satisfy a minimum guarantee. E. For orders exceeding the simplified acquisition threshold, a statute expressly authorizes or requires that the purchase be made from a specified source, or Section F, in accordance with Section 1331 of Public Law 11-240, contracting officers may, at their discretion, set aside orders for any of the small business concerns identified in FAR 1900 A3. We refer to a Section F set-aside as a set-aside within a set-aside, and this can be used on the BMO Small Business suite of contracts, but not on BMO Unrestricted. Should you end up utilizing an exception to fair opportunity, justification guidance for use with an exception to fair opportunity is contained in FAR 16505 B2 II. It's important to note that no justification is required for an Exception F set-aside. For other exceptions that do require posting of the justification, you must post within 14 days after an order is placed for most exceptions, and within 30 days if Exception A is utilized, and that is an urgent and compelling requirement. Justification shall be made publicly available at beta.sam.gov and an agency's website for a minimum of 30 days after award. Once you have worked through the planning stages of the solicitation process, there are two preferred methods of issuing the solicitation. The first is to post on GSA's eBuy at www.ebuy.gsa.gov, and the second is to simply email the qualified contractors. To find contractor point of contact information, utilize the contract awards matrix, which we've discussed in previous videos in this training series. A quick note to ensure that contractors have ample time to respond to your requirement. And with that, we've finished the third broad phase of the ordering process, and now we move on to phase 4, which is evaluating the proposals. For proposal evaluation, we offer just a few important notes. First, to evaluate proposals based on the methodology stated in the solicitation, and second, to evaluate cost or price and make a reasonableness or fair and reasonable determination. After a short discussion on phase 4, we're on to phase 5, which is awarding the task order. We will begin with a quick discussion on task order documentation. In accordance with FAR and agency policies, document the rationale for placement and price of each order in the file. Include a basis for award and rationale for any trade-offs among cost or price and non-cost or non-price factors. Identify the basis for using an exception to the fair opportunity process, if applicable. And in the event that you use a logical follow-on exception, the rationale shall describe why the relationship between the initial order and the follow-on is logical. Here we will go over a few important notes on deliverables and debriefings. First, it's important to submit an electronic copy of the task order award to the BMO CO within 5 days of award. You can submit this copy to fssi.bmo@gsa.gov. It's also important to remember to report task order awards in FPDS&G. And a note to provide post-award debriefings where required, which would be on task orders over $5 million. Finally, we're on to the sixth broad phase of the ordering process, which is administration of the orders, execution of the work, and closeout of task orders. With regard to task order administration, the ordering agency is responsible for quality assurance at the task order level, so you may want to appoint a COR in writing, delineating authority and limitations. Limitations on subcontracting, Clause 52-219-14, is included at the parent contract level and states that at least 50% of the cost of contract performance incurred for personnel shall be expended for employees of the small business concern. A few more notes as it relates to task order administration under BMO. The first is to report modifications in FPDS&G, and the second is to prepare contractor performance evaluations and report them in CPARs. The final slide in Phase 6 deals with task order closeout, and it's a simple reminder to perform task order closeout in accordance with the FAR and any agency-specific policies or procedures. This concludes our discussion on the BMO ordering process. And to finish off the training, we will leave you with a set of resources that you can utilize moving forward with the program. BMO offers a comprehensive set of resources and tools online in a couple of separate locations. The first resource is our BMO website at gsa.gov/BMO, which is accessible to the general public. The second would be the BMO hallway on the Acquisition Gateway. If you sign up for access to the Acquisition Gateway with a government email address, you will receive access to vendor pricing data and other useful resources. Here are some of the tools that you will find on our websites. A full copy of the BMO Ordering Guide is located on the BMO website. This contains much of the information we have discussed in training today, but with more detail. You will also find a library of BMO templates and samples, vendor awards matrices, which have been discussed in this training, discovery market research tools for market research on task orders, frequently asked questions and responses, and a list of updated success stories. Here we'll briefly take a look at gaining access to the Acquisition Gateway page. In order to do so, you'll log into max.gov and register for an account. Once you've registered, you can log into the Acquisition Gateway and click on the BMO Library of Resources. In the BMO Library of Resources, you'll find the Discovery tool, as well as pricing for Phases 1 and 2, our document library, and a whole host of other resources that can be utilized at the task order level. And now for the most important thing you can learn in today's training, and that is that the BMO contract staff is here to help. We offer pre-solicitation scope reviews. This is a courtesy offering by the GSA. While they're not required, it is strongly encouraged to make sure that your requirement is within scope and appropriate for BMO. We also offer advice on all BMO procurement matters, and we have a strong relationship and continuous communication with all of our vendors. We are nearing the end of our training program, and we'd like to offer some summary points. First, read and understand the BMO and BMO small business contracts. Read and understand the BMO Ordering Guide. Follow the ordering procedures in FAR 16505 and any agency-specific policy. This is a reminder to submit copies of task order solicitations and awards to GSA, and report your task order awards in FPDS&G. Finally, if you have any questions, feel free to follow up with us via our team email inbox at fssi.bmo@gsa.gov. Additionally, if you are a warranted contracting officer and would like to request a delegation of procurement authority letter, please send us an email to the fssi.bmo@gsa.gov email address stating that you are a warranted contracting officer, the date you have watched the videos, and a statement that you have watched all 3 videos and are requesting a DPA. This concludes the BMO DPA training, and we would like to thank you for attending our training session. We leave you with our website, gsa.gov/BMO, and our Acquisition Gateway web address, https://hallways.cap.gsa.gov. We look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.